I call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Council of Borough of River Edge, June 12th, 2023, regular meeting. I ask for everyone to take a moment to consider all the things that people are going to be doing this summer, and keep in mind that they keep safe and that our town returns to us in September whole and healthy. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 9th at this location, date, and time to the town news and the record, and by posting of the same on the municipal bulletin board and the borough website, filing notice of the same with the municipal clerk. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilman Kanigo,
Present.
Council President Kaufman,
Here.
Councilwoman Montesano Cohen is absent with prior notice. Councilwoman Kinsella is absent with prior notice, and Councilwoman Molinari is also absent with prior notice. Councilman Benson,
Here.
Mayor Papaleo.
Here. All right. Let's begin. So we have first approval of minutes. So could I have a motion from Council President Kaufman and a second from Councilman Kanigo after I read into the record? Could I approval of the minutes of the mayor and council regular and closed session meeting May 22nd, 2023, and approval of the minutes of the mayor and council special meeting and closed session of June 5th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Hearing none is unanimous. Okay, proclamations and awards. We're going to recognize our volunteer firefighters first. Chief, are people here that need to be here, or should we postpone and move to a discussion item?
No, you can proceed.
Excellent. Very, very good. So we have a proclamation for the outstanding work that our company number one and company number two, our fire department, has done with the assistance of our mutual aid, and for a very tragic event that happened not too long ago rather. And so let us begin. Proclamation. Whereas at 1:35 a.m. on Saturday, May 27, 2023, fire department was dispatched for a reported garage fire at 81 East Brook Drive. Whereas upon arrival, the deputy chief confirmed a well-advanced working fire, and central dispatch transmitted a working fire assignment, which brought in the first wave of mutual aid. Whereas it was relayed to the deputy chief by the River Edge police officers on scene that all family members were accounted for. However, one of the 3 dogs was missing. And whereas when Chief Caridi arrived and assumed command, he found a well-advanced fire that had control of the entire garage area and most of the first floor and the basement. Fire was extending into the second floor, and there were multiple small explosions coming from 2 fully involved vans in the garage area. And whereas Chief Caridi transmitted a second alarm, bringing in further mutual aid to cover the borough and assist at the fire. Due to the collapse of the structure, the OEM coordinator contacted Fletcher Kramer, who sent a crew to pull apart the collapsed portion of the building and to knock down the freestanding walls and chimney. And whereas all operations concluded around 10 a.m. on Saturday. However, at 11:30 a.m., the department was called back for the first of numerous rekindles in a debris pile and continued to operate during Saturday and into Sunday until approximately 2 p.m. Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of River Edge desires to express its appreciation and recognize the fire department of River Edge on this date, as they are true examples of volunteerism for all citizens. And whereas the mayor and council also desires to express its gratitude to the municipalities and agencies who responded for their willingness, contributions, and efforts. Now therefore, I, Thomas Papaleo, Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, on behalf of the Borough Council, do hereby thank and commend Chief Greg Caridi, the fire officers and members of the River Edge Volunteer Fire Department. Chief, if you could speak to the moment, we really are so grateful for what you and the fire department has done on this one date, as well as what you've been doing for decades upon decades.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I just, on behalf of the officers and members of the fire department, I want to thank you for recognizing the efforts. That fire shows what training is all about. You see us out training in town, stretching hose lines, going over our pumps, raising ladders, and that all came together and paid dividends that night. It was a tragic fire. That family went to bed Friday night, not thinking that, by 2 a.m. they were going to be forced from their home. We had to overcome a lot of obstacles, heavy fire on arrival. Those of you that are familiar with Eastbrook Drive, in that section of Eastbrook Drive, it's a very narrow street, especially when you start putting fire trucks there. The water main is a 6-inch diameter water main, which is a dead end main. So we had to overcome that. Multiple explosions coming from not only the 2 vans, but also items in the garage. And the fact that, we had a deep seated debris fire that we finally took care of that following Sunday morning. So I tip my hat to the members of this department who went above and beyond, going back there multiple times, and our mutual aid. We couldn't have done it without our mutual aid. They were very beneficial in helping us get this under control. So I want to thank everyone on the council for this proclamation, and the members and the officers greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chief. I'm always amazed at how often our volunteer fire department goes out for the nuisance calls. They happen a lot, but they stay firm, they stay committed, and the training that the department has been doing of recent date has just made this event less tragic than it could have been. It didn't spread to any of the other homes. The professionalism, the talent that was displayed. I know I speak for the entire council when we say, well done.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Chief, that's it for this proclamation. I signed 2 copies. It's with the clerk's office. So I think you want to send a copy to both company 1 and company 2. So
That is correct.
So if there's anything else we can do, or just let us know. We're very proud and very grateful.
Well, thank you very much. And I have to jump off and go to a meeting at 7:30. So I appreciate everybody. Really do. Thank you.
Take care, Chief. Okay, I don't believe anyone is here for the second proclamation. Is that true? I believe I got an email that no one would be present. All right.
That's correct.
Okay, so our second proclamation is a June proclamation. So let me begin. Proclamation. Whereas the struggle for dignity and equality for lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgender, and questioning people is reflected in tireless dedication of advocates and allies who strive to forge a more inclusive society. Whereas President Bill Clinton on June 2nd, 2000 declared June Gay and Lesbian Pride Month to commemorate the June 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Lower Manhattan, and on June 1st, 2029, President Barack Obama expanded the commemoration further by declaring June to be Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Pride Month, whereas June 28th, 2019 marked the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, which broke out following a police raid on the Stonewall Inn, targeting LGBTQ plus patrons and others marginalized people in violation of their civil rights, leading to the birth of the gay rights movement, whereas LGBTQ Americans include those who live in our local communities, face discrimination simply for being who they are and for who they love, and there remains much work to do, extend the promise of our country to every person. Whereas the landmark Supreme Court decision in 2015 guaranteed marriage equality in all 50 states and was a historical victory for the LGBTQ plus Americans, and continues to affirm our belief that we are all more free when we are all treated equal. Now, therefore, I, Thomas Papaleo, Mayor of the Borough of River Edge, in recognition do thereby proclaim the month of June 2023 is LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and encourage all River Edge residents to eliminate prejudice wherever it exists and celebrate our great diversity by taking in community events throughout the month of June, which focus on and celebrate the LGBTQ plus neighbors. Okay. All right, then. We now move to for discussion. And we start, and I believe we have some people present here who with requests to name crosswalks at St. Peter's Academy in memory of Patricia Henry. Now, we got a whole list of people here. Hold on.
Is Patrick Henry one of them?
Yes, I think so. So we want to move, I'm blanking for some reason, I apologize. I want to open, is Joanne Michelle George present? Yes.
Yes.
Can
One
you move
second.
her to be a panelist?
Yeah.
Could I have a motion and a second from the council to open up to the public on this issue specifically and limited to Joanne Mitchell, make sure I have her name, Joanne Mitchell George.
So moved.
Second.
Moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's bring Joanne in.
I'm also moving over Liz Davis. She had her hand raised, so I assume it's for the same thing.
Okay, well, let's not move over anybody until Joanne makes her presentation, if we could. Hey, Joanne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor,
You're welcome.
and thank you, council members.
So Joanne reached out to me a while ago and with this idea, and I had said to her, you know, this is something, I think it was October 14th of 2022. And I had said to her that, you know, the council has considered that, but we would need some sort of demonstration that this is what the community wants. And so Joanne has been working on that, and she's now ready to present to the council. Joanne, if you could summarize what you're asking for and those who are in support of what you're asking for.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
As you mentioned, we're requesting the crosswalk in memory of Patricia Henry, who for 40 years crossed the children back and forth to St. Peter's. She did so safely. And I wanted to mention that this initiative has the support of Father Michael Sheen, who is the pastor of St. Peter the Apostle Church, and Christopher Innes, who is the principal of St. Peter Academy, as well as St. Peter Academy Homeschool Association, which is like their PTO. St. Peter's would assume the cost of the post and construction. And as you well know, crosswalks have precedent in River Edge. For example, Cherry Hill has a crosswalk in memory of Joe Magiri. I'd like to acknowledge supporters who have called in and are logged on to this. Father AJ De Silva, who was recently named as a new administrator and soon to be the pastor of St. Peter's when Father Mike retires. As Michelle noted, we do have members of the Henry family on here. We have faculty of St. Peter Academy, members of the St. Peter's Pastoral Council, and parents of St. Peter's students and former students. And as a credit to Mrs. Henry's tenure as a crossing guard, we even have supporters who were crossed by her back when they were students, and then their children were crossed by her. So that's what happens when you work at a job for 40 years.
Well, that's wonderful, Joanne. Joanne, before we invite other people from our attendees to speak, does the council wish to ask questions about this petition? Or make comment? No?
I'd like to mention, I didn't tell people that they would be speaking. I'm sure they could if you invite them, but I
Well,
wasn't
Joanne,
sure.
is there anyone, because we don't, I don't know if the council is in favor of this or not, because I haven't yet spoken on this. But,
Okay.
I'm in favor of it. I think it's a good idea. Councilman
Thank you.
Canino.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it sounds wonderful. If she was doing it for 40 years, chances are she crossed me at some point. So I'm all in favor for it. I don't remember her, but I'm all in favor for it. Somebody who's dedicated their lives to our borough certainly deserves recognition like that. And I'll make that motion.
All right.
Thank you. Councilman.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're now open for debate. Is there debate? Seeing none, all in favor of the petition, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. But Joanne, if you want, maybe, I think you said that, that Patricia's husband's here tonight?
No, it's her son. Her husband is deceased.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it's her son and her daughter.
If you'd
And-
like, we can move them into, it's been approved, but maybe
Okay.
they'd like to say a few words. Do you, and Father De Silva is here, right? And maybe he would, is he present in our list? I don't see him.
I'll see him. Is it Andrew Henry? Oh, Patrick Henry?
Is Patrick Henry. Andrew Henry is probably another brother, and Teresa Henry.
Can we move them over, please?
You
Will
mean,
the other people who called in hear them or no?
I see Walter Henry, Greg Zampino. I'm not sure who is who.
Greg Zampino is his children went to St. Peter's, as did his wife, and was crossed by Mrs. Henry.
Okay, I'm just gonna, everyone who's got their hand raised, I'm gonna move over and hope for the best.
Thank you.
That works.
Okay.
Just give it a moment, technology as it is. So we have Patrick Henry, we have a user without a camera. We have Walter Henry, and we have Teresa. Oh, and there's Father De Silva. Oh, Father De Silva was the user without the thing. Great. So Patrick, Walter, or Teresa, would any of you like to say a few words in memory of Patricia and this action? This is your time if you'd like to speak.
Sure, this is Patrick. Just briefly, this would be quite an honor for my family. My mother moved out here in 1972 from the city with my father, and when her youngest child, my sister, who's one of the panelists here, entered kindergarten at St. Peter's, her first day of kindergarten was my mother's first day on the job.
Wow.
And she stayed there at that post until I guess it was 2019, when her health and my father's health, made it impossible to continue working. But she really loved St. Peter's, the church and the school. It did quite a lot for her and our family and our extended family. And like I said before, this would be a great honor.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, we could go to Walter or Teresa next. Teresa, I
Sure.
think you were the kindergartner, and Walter, you were a little bit younger, older. I don't know, but
Older.
Teresa was the youngest, right?
Teresa's the youngest. I'll speak quickly. First, it's quite an honor and recognition, and I want to thank Joan first and foremost for presenting this to River Edge and the council and the mayor. And I just want to thank the mayor and the council for approving this. It is a great honor. And although none of us live in River Edge anymore, the town is very important to all of us. And thank you.
You're welcome. Teresa, any words? You don't have to if you don't want to. You have to unmute yourself though. Teresa, you gotta
Unmute
unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Not my first time on Zoom. It means a lot to me as well. I mean, and as everything my brother said, I mean, our mom was there and she was a constant in our lives, in our friends' lives, in our friends' children's lives. So like, while we're not there, we're always passing through, and there's still that connection to River Edge. So when we go to St. Peter's, we'll be looking at it. So I appreciate all of the efforts, Joan, you've made, and others, and all the support of St. Peter's too, and recognizing our mom. Thank you.
A great segue to Father De Silva. Father De Silva, would you like to say a few things? Your camera's not on. It doesn't need to be, but just want you to be aware of that.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I apologize. This is my first Zoom on a brand new computer, so I've yet to figure out the camera, so I apologize. Just want to thank you all. I'm really overjoyed that we can honor someone who gave so much of their life to the children of River Edge, particularly the ones in St. Peter. So I'm just overjoyed, and thank you all for your support as well as for your help in making this happen. Thank you.
You're welcome. We have Liz Davis here. Liz, is there something you wanted to share in this regard?
Yes. Pat Henry's my aunt, and I do live in River Edge. I'm an extended family member that lives off Fifth Avenue. So I have gone past my aunt many times. It's a difficult job. It requires incredible skill and dedication. And I'm so proud that she had this honor. A couple of years ago with another mayor, I had started the process, but it kind of COVID happened and then this. So I was delighted to hear that someone started it up again because she so deserves it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Council President, I see Joe Zampino has his hand up. I don't know if that is for this.
I tried to move him over and he declined, so.
Okay, great. Great. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. Well, one last story you might get a kick out
Tell
of.
it. It's good.
This is so Liz Davis is my first cousin, and when my mother started it, Teresa was in kindergarten, obviously. So, but she had the full-time job as a crossing guard. So she used to take my sister down to Liz's father on Dorchester, who would feed her lunch and watch her while she completed her shift.
Wow.
So a little bit of color there.
This is why River Edge is a magical place to live. It really is. I mean, these stories are not rare, but common in so many ways. We have residents who have invested themselves so strongly. We were just celebrating the fire department and what all those volunteers have been doing. We have generations of firefighters, and your mom, she worked for generations of kids, moving them across the street safely in a thankless job for the most part. And even though she's not here to enjoy the moment, we're honored to be able to celebrate her. We thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let's move to our next item, request for handicap parking, 680 Center Avenue. Our business administrator, Ms. Aprotola.
Yes, before you have from Mr. Ma a request to establish a handicap parking in front of his home. In order to do so, the governing body would need to adopt an ordinance, and attached to the paperwork is the last time this had been discussed when there was no need for further handicap parking spots. The deputy clerk provided the minutes as well as the ordinance that eliminated that section completely from the code.
So for the public's benefit, Ms. Aprotola, if you would speak to and Mr. Sarli, if you want to chime in, what would be the minimum expectations for the council to consider this and take action on this?
Well, this would have to be something that is codified, so it goes through 2 readings, and it's just knowing that a car will be on the street even during bad weather, during snow. It could affect possibly plowing operations. That's just an example of a couple of items to consider.
Yes, but Mr. Sarlo, as our borough attorney, when should the council consider such a request, and what should be the criteria on which the council bases such a decision?
Yeah, legally, there's no criteria. The mayor and council can set their criteria. It's usually, in the past, and I don't believe in my years here, we've approved one. It's, extenuating circumstances in that there's no driveway, things like that. That you could consider. However, if just please keep in mind, and this is something that we've always discussed when these come up, is if somebody is handicapped and you don't set a strict requirement, you give for one, you're going to start giving for all. You're not going to be able to say no. Again, unless there's really extenuating circumstances for the situation. But I don't know about Chief Walker's opinion. I don't think we've had one with him, but former Chief Caridi was not in favor of on-street handicap parking spaces reserved for the resident. And we've taken his advice in the past. So not sure if you want Chief Walker to weigh in on it, but.
Yeah. So Ms. Albertola, let me go back to you. Is, for the public's benefit, since this is a public meeting, has extenuating circumstances been suggested, and has a hardship been extended? I mean, in other words, in the request was such a were such items stated?
Trying to pull it up now.
Well, then why don't we do this? Why don't we have only 3 members of council and myself. Why don't we why don't we push it to the next meeting? Why don't we ask Chief Walker to chime in, as well as Superintendent Melito, to think about this, because it affects plowing. And I'm going to go to Councilman Knigo and then Council President Kaufman. And if we need to know, is there a driveway or not? Is there some sort of extraordinary need? Is this why, and what other elements the petitioner is willing to make? Having kind of laid that criteria, maybe the council is not interested in that. Let me go to Councilman Knigo first.
I think unless there's an emergency reason that it has to be considered immediately, this should go through the Traffic and Safety Committee first. There it can be discussed with the police, the chief can weigh in, then the Traffic and Safety Committee can make a recommendation, then the chief can come here and testify if everybody feels that's necessary. If the chief feels it's necessary, everybody can come and testify and we can have a hearing on it, unless there's an emergency situation, which means that we have to move this faster, and then we can figure that out too. But from what I could tell from the request, it didn't seem to be of an emergent nature.
I think that's an excellent idea. Council President Kaufman.
I'm not sure, but it seemed from the letter that maybe they just didn't want someone parking in front of their house so they could get out of the driveway more easily. And if that's the case, then there wouldn't be a car during snow. Wasn't clear to me.
Well, it's still an extraordinary action for us to take, and it requires us to do it by ordinance. And as our borough attorney has advised, once we grant a yes, we are obligated to grant yes in the future. So we really I think we only want to do this for extraordinary reasons. And so we need more information. I think Councilman Knigo's suggestion, I should have thought of it myself immediately, is that this request should go to Traffic and Safety, and the petitioners should come to the Traffic Safety, since it's on Zoom anyway. make their case. The chief should be given time to weigh in, and the council should consider this very carefully, because this does require an ordinance for it to occur, and it's really something that should only be done in extraordinary circumstances, as we've been advised by the former chief. Now, maybe the present chief feels differently, but I think that this is a good idea. Councilman Benson, any thoughts?
I mean, I agree with Councilman Canigo and yourself, Mayor. We have a commission to take a look at it, so I would say let's go through that channel.
Yeah, just to clarify, it's a committee, not a commission.
Committee, sorry, I'm apologize.
Okay, because the commission has
Okay.
independent authority, so we want to make sure that that's clear. So without objection, we're going to table this. We're going to send it to traffic and safety. We're going to get the chief to weigh in, and then the traffic and safety will make a recommendation. And once they do so, it can come back to the council. And if Ms. Abertola, if you can ask the petitioner to come to the next traffic and safety meeting. Okay, great. All right, our next item is KGB parking lot project. Now, we have, and I'm going to ask our superintendent to weigh in a moment, Mr. Melito, and of course our BA, Ms. Apertola. So we have construction that is going to be occurring down at KGB, and I think a good part, if not the majority of it, is being covered by grants. And it's being designed right now. And Mr. Melito, our superintendent, who is always a strong advocate for us to look long-term, and which is wonderful, has suggested that we may want to pull out the curb of the work, which would then touch into some parking spaces that are not for the swim club, but that are, and as you can see there where it says grass. So what he's suggesting is that we take away about 10 or 11 parking spaces. I'll let him speak to it. And this would give us the opportunity in the future, if we so needed it, to either put a volleyball court or a pickleball court or many other uses. And this is, as he explained it to myself, Councilwoman Kaufman, and Councilwoman Kinsella, this would be at no additional cost to the borough. It would just be a quick redesign. Now we're doing other work that is required, which is why we're down there. We're doing handicap, we're doing some repair work and things like that. So let me turn it over to Superintendent Melito. Superintendent, if you could speak to the suggestion of a change.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we are looking to repave and pretty much do the area of KBG. It was approved actually in the capital budget. This portion of the project is not under any kind of grants, Mayor. This was approved through the budget, fully through capital. In doing so, we always look at every project to maximize the area, whether it be parking spots or, in this case, parking spots and field addition. Right now, we have 228 parking spots, how they sit. They're sitting at 11 feet, 8 inches. The proper length is 9 foot wide by 18 foot long. So with that being said, there's 228. We're actually going to gain 31 spots and go to 259 as soon as it's striped appropriately. So these 11 spaces that we're taking away right here, we're actually
proposing to take away.
That we're proposing to take away. We're actually not losing anything. We're still gaining around 18 spots, just because of the way that it's striped. So that's a good thing. We are still picking up parking spot. The area that we're suggesting to move the curb and make grass will actually be around 1,800 square feet that we're picking up. The good part about this is as Recreation starts designing their fields, this will give the additional 1,800 square foot, like the mayor said, which would give around 60 to 70 feet wide and about another 60 to 70 feet long. That would be able to fit a lot of the new sports that are coming out, such as pickleball, shuffleboard, anything they decide to do. Again, this is this has just come up. We can't build any more green space, obviously, so we're trying to maximize the green space that we have by extending anywhere we can. So this was just a thought.
And the
but-
grant funding that I was talking about is for the work inside the field.
Yes,
Yes, that is correct. And this area is not in
the
the
flood.
delineation area that the DEP is looking for.
Yes, and that's an important concern because we have the river right there. So this gives us some flexibility. Ms. Apertola, if you want to add more.
No, that's all that I wanted to add. We're still waiting for the DEP to review the wetlands delineation, the floodplain delineation, the surveying, but this area in particular is nowhere in that area that is being evaluated by the state. So if the governing body wishes to move forward with this, there's no hindrance in doing so.
And Ms. Apertola, I just want to double check. There would be no additional cost.
No additional cost.
Excellent. Mr. Melito, do you wish to add more?
Yeah, Mayor, this will be discussed with Recreation a lot more. This project won't start until after Labor Day due to the swim club being in session. We won't start any of the process, so we do have time to go over this a little more with them. So they get a better understanding and we get a better understanding what they might want to do with the area.
But right now, we're not proposing to do anything with
No.
the area right now. We're simply creating an opportunity for future use.
Correct.
Very good. Any member of council wishes to ask a question or weigh in?
I'll just say that I think it's a good idea. Anytime we can claw back some grass from a parking lot, I'm for it.
Agreed.
Yes, absolutely.
So could I have a motion to make the change to pull the curb back and increase the grass area as presented in the image currently on the screen?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second. Either way.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, any abstention? All right, there we go. If we could close that, that's excellent. Very good. Ms. Apertola, is there anything more for discussion? I see nothing on the calendar, but on the
No.
agenda, but I just wanted to double check. Great. Okay, so now I want to be very clear to the public. We're going to open for any item on the agenda. If the item is not on the agenda, we open later on in the meeting. So, and this meeting should go relatively quickly, so it won't be much later. But remember, if you choose to speak and it's not on the agenda, I will deem you out of order, and we will move on to the next person if anyone wishes to speak. So could I have a motion and second to open to the public on any item on this agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any abstention, any opposed? Hearing none, we are now open to the public on the agenda only. Council President Kaufman will move people from attendees to panelists. Each person has a maximum of 2 minutes.
So if anyone has a question or comment on the agenda, just raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. Second. Ken Schopenhauer, and please say your address.
With it. And I'll lower my hand also here if I can. All right, good evening, everybody. I was more on the meeting just to, I saw the KBG parking lot project, so that's what had brought me into it. But I just had one question on the resolutions for this evening. I believe it's 23.174, which deals with liquor license approvals or renewals.
What's your question?
Just I noticed as far as typically there are 3 liquor licenses that would be up for renewal this year on the list. 77 Kinderkamak Road is not shown on the list, so I didn't know if there was something going on there, or if it had been change of use or.
Ms. Apertola, can you speak to that?
Yes, the liquor license term runs from July 1st to June 30th, so there is still time If a licensee is not on this resolution, it could be either they didn't receive tax clearance from the Division of Taxation, or they did not pay the state renewal fee or the borough fee. There is still the meeting of the 26th to renew the license. If the time lapses, there are protocols in place to continue serving by the ad interim process. But this isn't the final resolution. There usually is multiple resolutions when it comes to liquor license renewals. It all depends on the timing of the applicant filing the proper paperwork with the state, the divisions.
Okay, good. And I believe also on the agenda, just if I could, question about the shared services agreement with Ordell for the field usage.
Sure. What is it that you'd like to know?
I know for years, as far as my take has been, Ordell has always been lobbying for charging the River Edge residents for that. So I guess this is going to appease that and everything. But I did not know as far as, because I believe Ordell, some of the leagues that are between the two towns use the River Edge fields. Is there any discussion as far as an agreement going the other way as far as for the Ordell folks to use the River Edge fields?
So this is specifically about DPAC, which is an artificial field, and our usage of that field and the 10-year maintenance costs of that field. And the council has considered, the council has not voted on it yet. We put it in the budget, so it was discussed during the budget process. And now it's up for a council vote on whether they wish to meet some of the needs, a portion of the longevity of that field, because there are many River Edge residents who are using that field, and that was what the Ordell council had asked us to consider.
Okay, all right. So it's just specifically DPAC. It's not getting into as far as who's using the high school fields, as the high school falls within Ordell and everything. It's a DPAC issue, and there are probably those costs associated with that above and beyond your normal field maintenance because of the wear and tear of the turf stuff.
Exactly. And so it's very specific. It's very limited to that. And it is something that the council can choose to do on a yearly basis or not.
Good. All right. Thank you very much. And just continue on.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay.
Thank you.
There are no other.
Okay, could I have a motion to close to the public on any item on the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Michelle, did you say aye?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, so any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, it is unanimous, and we move now to appointments and personnel changes. Could I have, after I read into the record, could I have Councilman Benson move it and Councilman Kanigo second? Appointments and personnel change. Approve the resignation of Ida Dole from the Cultural Affairs Advisory Committee effective May 8th, 2023. Approve the extension of probationary period for Paul Hemmenegger, laborer in the Department of Public Works, for an additional 6 months to December 8th, 2023. Approve the hire of the camp staff from June 21st, 2023 through July 28th, 2023, as per the list on file with the Borough Clerk's office. Could I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
It is open for discussion. Is there discussion? Hearing none, it is a personnel change. Mr. Sarlo, do we need to do a roll call for this, or can we just do by unanimous consent?
Unanimous consent, Mayor.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed or any abstentions? Hearing none, it is so moved. Okay. There are monthly reports. There is fire prevention, land use, historic commission, environmental green team, tax collector, and library board of trustees. If any member of the public would like to get a copy of those reports, they need simply to contact the clerk. Resolutions 23-172 through 23-189. So could I have a motion and second wait, let me rephrase that. Is there any resolution that a member of council would like to ask a question about or move separately?
I just have.
Councilman Benson.
I had a question on resolution 23-173. Just what is that? What is that revenue? Where is that money? Is that our revenue for us coming from?
Well, Ms. Apertola would tell you. Go ahead, Ms. Apertola.
Yes, this is from the Clean Communities Fund, it's a state fund. The DPW prepares a report as part of a grant, and then the borough receives money that is used for items that they need to keep the borough clean, whether it's to repair the street sweeper, brooms, things of that nature. And since that amount varies annually, it's not part of our annual budget document. So as the CFO had explained during the budget process, whenever the borough receives a grant award after the budget has been adopted, this type of resolution needs to be adopted.
Thank you.
Council President Kaufman.
Same issue. So,
All right, great. Are there any more questions or requests for a separate vote? Seeing none, could I have a motion second to move resolutions 23-172 through 23-189?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed, any abstention? Hearing none, it is unanimous. Council President Kaufman, who is also our finance chair, would you please read into the record and move resolution 23-190?
At a regular meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on June 12th, 2023, be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures. Current fund, $305,760.55. Capital fund, $226,912.70. Grant fund, $4,059. Trust other fund, $14,859.92. Payroll fund, $15,972.49. Developers escrow fund, $4,308.50. Self-insurance fund, $2,308.94. Recreation trust fund, $7,936.97. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, any abstentions? Hearing none, it is unanimous. Is there any new business? Hearing none, old business, resolution 23-166. Authorize execution of shared service agreement with the Borough of Oradell athletic field use, tabled May 22nd, 2023. Does the council wish to move this for a vote?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It is moved and seconded. It is open for debate and discussion. Is there debate?
I'd just like to say, I'd like to table this again. I'd like Councilwoman Kinsella to be here when we discuss it. I had an email from her kind of laying out some of what she found out about the leagues that play there. And I guess I'd like to find out more about what exactly has been paid for the use of that field by these leagues. Unless we've had this discussion before and I don't remember.
We've had this discussion before, but you weren't on the council at the time, so you wouldn't remember it necessarily. There was a committee that was voted by the council to go and negotiate with the Oradell committee. Basically, the Oradell committee came and presented all sorts of facts. We then, in turn, the committee, it was myself, it was the mayor, it was Ellen Bastide at the time. We then presented it to the council. We gave full explanation at the time as to why we felt it was necessary. DPAC provides many of our teams with a field to play on that we would not otherwise have. It is a great expense, much greater than what we are contributing, but we explained to them that we would contribute, this council would contribute what this council felt it could contribute. And then going forward, every council would be revisited with the question and every council would then make the decision and vote upon it. But this was voted upon last year, was decided. I do not think we should wait any longer. We made a promise to Oradell the council agreed on it, and I think it's time that we move forward.
So do we have a motion in a second? We do have a motion in a second. We are in debate. Does the council, Mr. Benson, are you making a motion to table?
Oh, sorry, I had my, but yeah, I still would like to table. I'd like Councilwoman Kinsella to be here at least when we make the final vote, because I know she couldn't be here. She feels very passionate about it. And I just feel like she should have
Okay.
some say in the final
For the
vote.
public's benefit, we've tabled it twice. And the council can consider it again. So you're making a motion. If it's not seconded, then that motion fails. And then we would, if it is seconded, then it would require, I believe, Mr. Sarlo, for another tabling, it would require all three council members to vote yes.
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. So having said that, Mr. Benson, Councilman Benson, please make that motion. Motion to table.
I have a motion to table this until the next meeting.
Is there a second? Hearing none, the motion fails. We return to the main motion. Is there further debate or discussion? All in favor of the main motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there opposed or abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Mr. Sarlo, at this point, we have 2 ayes and 1 abstention. Do I need to vote?
No, carries, Mayor. It's still the majority of the 3.
All right, then.
And the abstention is not a no vote anyway, so. it's
Okay.
just abstain.
All right. So now we're going to open Councilwoman Kaufman.
Sorry, I have another old
Council
business
President.
item.
Yes,
Did I-
absolutely, Council President.
Just wanted to bring up again the issue that Councilman Benson had brought up last week. Wanting to give an update on the tax that was refunded to Verizon recently. We've been in touch with our tax assessor, our legislators, and the New Jersey League of Municipalities. And there is a 1997 law that allows Verizon to no longer pay taxes on telephone poles when less than 51% of the homes have a landline. This is in spite of the fact that they are still earning revenue from those poles because they rent them out to be used for cell phone and cable equipment. Because of this law, Verizon will no longer be paying $165,000 in tax on the telephone poles that they have throughout River Edge. And we are not alone in facing this issue. 71% of Bergen County no longer receives these taxes from Verizon. This situation has not been resolved despite a number of lawsuits that have been ongoing for many years and a number of bills proposed by state legislators to resolve this that have yet to move forward. So our residents will have to make up this $165,000 per year in lost revenue that funds our school system and our municipal services in future years. The numbers I've seen for the tax revenue lost in other towns include $23,000 for Emerson and $50,000 for Hopewell Borough. I calculated a rough estimate for New Jersey by averaging the numbers for the 3 towns that we know and assuming that 70% of New Jersey is no longer being paid the telephone tax bill by Verizon, assuming the rest of New Jersey is similar to Bergen. And that would be about $30 million in lost tax revenue from Verizon that New Jersey residents now have to make up for, even though Verizon made $22 billion in after-tax profits in 2022. So just wanted to make the public aware of what's going on.
It's very upsetting, but we have no jurisdiction, so we have no standing. But we as a public have the ability to reach out to our legislators, and I encourage the public to do that. I know that we have, and we will continue to reach out to senators and assembly men and women in Trenton who would be able to rectify this situation. And so we encourage the public to do so. Any other new business or old business? Councilwoman, not Councilwoman, Business Administrator Apatola, could you please give us a brief update on any construction projects that are currently being prepared? Most importantly, the Voorhees Avenue storm drain situation.
With regards to Voorhees, the contractor is working with Suez to relocate a water main that will be done within the next week or so. And then the actual trenching can begin. So as I had mentioned a few meetings ago, test pits had to be done in order to find out any conflicts from the utilities, and one was found with the water utility. And that is what has pushed back the physical start of the overall project. But once the water main is relocated, then we could move forward with that. Everything else is in the bidding stage, like the KBG parking lots in the design phase. The end of the month, we are receiving bids for Borough Hall. So hopefully we'll get some good numbers by good contractors. But right now it's either in development or waiting for bids.
I want to go back to Voorhees for a second, Ms. Apertola. I would like the public to know, and I believe I have this correct from the email traffic that I've been reading, that we had asked them to do this quite some time ago, and that they were expected to have done this quite some time ago. And that this is not, if I understand it correctly, any fault of our professionals or our administration. This is something that they failed to do and is now causing us a delay.
Yes, what has delayed the start of the project is on the utility side, which is outside the scope of our authority.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the governing body, with the borough engineer or the contractor. We've been waiting for the utilities, and this is why we're at this juncture at this time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything else, Ms. Apertola, you want for us to know before we move to opening to the public?
No, sir.
All right, great. Could I have a motion and second to open to the public for any item?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? All right, so let me just remind everybody, when if you would like to speak, you have to raise your hand and Council President Kaufman will move you over. You have 2 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, we'll thank you and we need to move on to another person. And that's good. We'll start there. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak?
1 second.
I see a Noah Cole.
Yes.
Now,
No,
Noah,
you-
say your name and your address. You can leave out the number, but we do have to say the street.
Noah Cole, Oak Avenue. So for the with Verizon not paying taxes, what branch of government's responsible for that issue? What's being done, and how can youth help out with trying to raise awareness?
So that would be the legislature. So that would be the senator, state senator, and the state assemblymen and women who now we are in legislative district 38. And I know they work very, very hard for us. And that would be Senator Lagana, that would be Assemblyman Tully, and Assemblywoman Swain. And I think they are in support of this for us and have been for quite some time. So what you can do is reach out to them and they might redirect you to the Speaker of the Assembly and the President of the Senate, who determine when a bill actually makes it out of committee and into discussion. And so so what we're really, I am 99, 100% certain that we have full support of our senator and assemblymen and women, and they've done an outstanding job for us. And whenever I reached out to them, they're in support of this. So what we really need to do is put some pressure on the Senate President and the Assembly Speaker. But the appropriate way to do that is for the public, you, and as well as ourselves, to reach out to our senator, our assembly, and then from there reach out to the Speaker's office and the Senate President's office.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
1 second. Next up is Sebastian Muscarella.
Sebastian, again, please say your full name and your street address.
Sebastian Muscarella, 781 Fifth Avenue. Thanks for having me. I know I've been here before, as most of you recognize. But we're back again. And I was at the Traffic and Safety Committee last meeting, and we were talking about the River Edge School reconfiguration, which I know this committee and this council has told me that is out of the jurisdiction. However, it is gaining a lot of steam, and we're not getting any answers from the superintendent or the Board of Ed as to the negative impacts of this reconfiguration. So I'm here today to ask this council to seriously consider myself, and I think there are some other speakers that want to address the concerns with this reconfiguration and propose and send those concerns to the superintendent and the Board of Education on behalf of the governing body of this town, that this is a serious concern that a lot of people are against. And there's not a lot that we can do right now aside from public comment. You know, we've talked at the Board of Ed meetings countlessly. We have a petition with tons of signatures. We've been to the Board of Ed meetings. We've made public comments. We are just running into a brick wall here. We're not getting a lot of answers. And this is a serious change that's going to happen to our town, not school. This is not a school operational issue. This is something that's going to affect the traffic, the health, the safety, pedestrians, bike riders, car drivers, you name it. This is out of the school. This is things that are going to impact our town that we need this council, who are governing officials that we have elected, to help stick up for us and speak our word. So I'm here today to just ask you to do that. And I know, again, I don't want to be directed to Mr. Sarlo. He's a great guy, but I don't want to be
Well,
told.
I'm actually, you have about 15 more
but-
minutes, but I will be asking Mr. Sarlo to speak to your issue. So you feel
Fine.
free to use your 15 seconds. Sebastian, do you have anything more to say?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Mr. Sarlo.
Mayor, I was just tasked to determine if the mayor and council had the request in front of the mayor and council was whether you can put a non-binding referendum on a school related issue. And my legal opinion, and I stand by that, was no, you don't have any authority. And that was all that I was tasked to do. That whether you have, that as to whether the mayor and council wants to send if you even are against it, I don't know. This hasn't been discussed to my knowledge. Sending a letter or your concerns to the Board of Education. Yeah, you certainly can do that. There's no issue of having the one entity talk to the other entity about issues. Again, you have no authority in it. Remember that. However, if this governing body has concerns or in support of it, they certainly can send a letter to the Board of Ed. But again, I was only tasked with non-binding referendum, and no, the answer is still no on that. But I don't believe that was the issue that was proposed by the gentleman right now. It was whether the mayor and council wants to, I guess, advocate for the residents at this juncture. And again, the only thing you can do is, if the mayor and council wanted to, was send their concerns over to the Board of Ed so they can consider them.
Okay. Mr. Sarlo, before you go, if I remember right from previous conversations I've had with you and with our labor attorney, that this process that's currently happening is a process that happens all across the state, and that not only don't we have any jurisdiction, but if Board of Education and the superintendent choose to move forward with this, we have an obligation to make it work. So is that not correct?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you need to make it work. You're talking about anything that you need to do on your end, I'm going to assume, if they're which is, I don't know, creating a one-way street or anything like that. The answer is yes, you want to, help them out, make it work, but also, again, you then have jurisdiction on those issues. So, if you decided no on the whatever it is, a one-way street, then they would have to go back and figure it out. So the answer is yes. You want to help them out, but I don't want to use the word obligation. You're not like you must do it. You're mandatory to do it because again, that falls now into your jurisdiction to make it, and if they can do it without the mayor and council or the governing bodies help, great. But again, if it requires assistance from the mayor and council, then it will be up to you to decide.
No, I actually meant specifically crossing guards. If crossing guards, if they change the configuration and the chief decides that we need additional crossing guards, that is our obligation.
Yeah, that correct. I mean, that's obviously for the safety of the children, and that's a no-brainer. And that is, you would reconfigure where crossing guards would be needed, and the chief of police would get involved in that. That is something, right? You're not passing an ordinance or saying we're not going to do that. That's something, yeah, you need to do no matter what. And that could change. Crossing guard posts, I'm sure, change. Not all the time, but have changed. So yeah, something like that, correct, Mayor.
And our jurisdiction is only in regards to if they're asking us to do a one-way street or if they're asking us to change parking ordinances. That we do have the right to say yes or no to, but the other we don't.
Correct. You create the law. So, if they're asking you to create an ordinance for whatever reason, that's now, up to you. You can't say, well, we have to do it. Again, you have the authority to create ordinances. So if they need an ordinance created, again, parking, one-way street, that comes to you guys to make that determination.
And at that time, it would be appropriate for it to go to traffic and traffic safety making a recommendation to the mayor and council. But until that occurs, our jurisdiction is, we have no jurisdiction under state statute.
Yeah, listen, if they, and again, I'm not that familiar with what's going on, but if they go ahead and do whatever their proposal is without the need for the mayor and council to do an ordinance, the answer to your question is absolutely, you're correct. You have no jurisdiction at this point. That's correct.
Okay, good. All right, next person.
Second, Joe Icabella, yellow.
Joe, again, say your full name and your address, please.
Good evening, Joe Iacovello, 42 Eastbrook Drive, River Edge, New Jersey. I've been here for 10 years. I did go to the traffic meeting that they had last week. And I have the question that bothers me is, how does the superintendent and Board of Education, there's many families, pretty much, I would say 70–80% of this town, which elected you officials, are against this. And what I'm hearing is that we can't do nothing about it because our mayor can't do anything about it in our committee because this is a half-assed planned solution that they're putting together. We asked why they're doing this. They said it was for overcrowding. We found out that the school isn't even overcrowded. There's actually plenty of room. So we're not getting the answers. What I asked of the committee is, why can't the citizens of this town vote on this scenario? And everyone keeps going back to, hey, the superintendent has all authority. The superintendent doesn't even live in the city. And I don't understand who elected her, but I think the city, the mayor and the council here have to stop this and listen to the citizen. We're the ones that pay taxes. And if they can't explain what they're trying to do besides very high level, it's going to improve things. How are you going to improve things? What are we saving money so that we don't get hit with taxes? All I hear is they want to restructure the traffic pattern, which is going to cost money for the city. You guys are going to raise taxes to all of us. And do we need this? Can someone get the superintendent to explain her plan with very, very detailed plans? Like, hey, we're missing a STEM class. We need to figure this out and look at it from class by class and explain it to us.
No, I think that's time. I will comment that we do not have jurisdiction in this area, that they are a separate, independent body.
Who does?
You do when you elect people to the Board of Education, but we have no jurisdiction.
Does the state have jurisdiction? Give me who in the state I need to speak to fix this problem.
I do not believe so, but I could not advise you legally, nor would it be prudent for me to do so. Joe, we're going to go to Lauren now and give her 2 minutes.
Yep, hello. Lauren Default, 159 Greenway Terrace.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Yep, thank you very much, Mayor. Yep, just to reiterate what everyone has been saying, it is frustrating. You guys are asking us to reach out to our legislatures for Verizon. I realize that's a big bill, but you're asking us to help out with us helping our town as a whole. And then we're coming to you with our problem as well, and it's getting turned right back to us, which is just really frustrating as a resident to do that. And I wish you guys would consider that a little bit more and think of maybe what you can do or letters that you can write. That's something I would ask, because this is a huge impact. People move to River Edge, not for our downtown, obviously, right? But for our school system. They need the ability to walk to the bus, walk to the train, and get their kids to school. And that's why they're here. And we are fundamentally changing how we are structured as a town and how our town will work and who will want to move here by making this change. So I understand the legality of it from your perspective, but we really need you guys to think outside the box a little bit and help us out, because it is going to change how River Edge is viewed by others and who wants to live here and how we live here today. So please, please, Council and Mayor, help us out here. You guys are also here to represent us. Thank you.
All right, Lauren, thank you. I think Ellen's next.
Unmute it. Hi there, Ellen McCourt, 46 Eastbrook Drive. I just have a question, and I don't know what, if you could correct me, Mr. Sarlo. Did you say that the mayor has the ability to approve ordinances? For instance, if they needed more traffic crossing guards, or they needed to revise how the streets run, that costs money. And in that sense, couldn't that prohibit this plan from going through if they need all those things and you know the town doesn't want it? Couldn't you just work that way and, you know, prohibit the plan from going through that way? Am I making myself?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
To answer your question
Okay.
again, is the mayor and council has the authority to create ordinances.
Right.
And ordinances are the laws of the town, and that could be creating a one-way street, creating on-street parking, you know, things like that, putting a stop sign on a street that they control. Those are things that the mayor and council have the authority to do. I can't answer your question, is that, you know, can they not do it to stop the project? That's beyond my scope. Crossing guards are not ordinances. Crossing guards are separate. That's just, you know, the mayor and council, they're really, it's the chief of police that makes a determination where crossing guards should be. And, you know, I don't believe anyone's going to not putting crossing guards somewhere to try and stop a project for safety. But that's just crossing guards, you know, go with wherever they're needed to be. So let's not mix the two up. Crossing guards go with safety under the purview of the chief, and that's out of necessity. Ordinances under the purview of the mayor and council to create laws if necessary. So I guess the answer to your question is, if a one-way street is necessary, I don't know, and they need to have this done, the mayor and council has the ability to not approve a one-way street. And then it would go back to the Board of Ed to make a determination if they still want to do it or not.
So just really quickly, and I don't know if I'm out of time, Mayor.
Well, because
Papaleo.
Mr. Sarlo was speaking for a good portion of it, you do have about 30 seconds left.
Yeah. The only thing I'm not trying, you know, the only thing I'm thinking is that if we could vote on this, if it would be up for a vote, then you would know, Mayor.
No,
No,
Mr.
not
Sarlo's
on
already
this.
determined that.
Oh, okay.
There's-
Okay.
I
No, yeah,
understand
I
that
understand.
There's nothing to vote on for this mayor and council.
No, I understand what you're saying, but there should be, but I understand the separation of the two bodies. I understand that.
Board
I'm
of
just
Ed
saying
is
that
now
I'm just saying that if you know that the majority of the town doesn't want this project to go through, could you stop it by putting in ordinances that would prohibit it, like if they need a stop sign somewhere and you say no?
That again, I don't think we're at that point yet. So that request
Yeah.
hasn't been in front of the mayor and council. So I don't You know.
Yeah, and that's just one example of the things you need to approve for this project. I'm just picking
So Ellen,
one thing, yeah.
You know, Ellen, so let me share with you that no request has been made of this body to make any changes to the roads of this town. And that would be where we have jurisdiction. So there has been no request for that.
And keep in mind, one doesn't have to do with the other. If they go ahead and do whatever they're proposing to do, and then it falls incumbent on the mayor and council to put a stop sign or not put a stop sign, and they still go ahead with the project, you know, then the mayor and council is going to make the decision, do we still need to put that stop sign there because it's out of safety and we have to do it? So, you know, again, keep that in mind. I don't know if one can automatically stop the project in its tracks. It may be, again, as the mayor said, out of necessity. If they go ahead and do it, now the mayor and council needs to react to protect its citizens in maybe creating a stop sign at an intersection where it doesn't exist right now.
I'm just trying to think of ways to stop it. If
Ellen,
most of the
we're at
town
2
hates
minutes
the
now.
idea.
Again,
Yeah, it's okay, thank you.
It's
No
the Board
problem.
of Education. I'll say it again. It's the Board of Education that has jurisdiction in this matter.
All right. Since I believe Sebastian spoke, so we'll go to Liz. Liz Davis, you have your 2 minutes. Please say your, she fell off. Is she still there?
Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there.
Oh, she's back. Maybe she had some sort of communication issue. So Liz, say your, as soon as you come in, please say your full name and address, please. And you have 2 minutes.
Liz, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about the picture. Liz, 291 Monroe. I'm just going to echo some of the things.
You got to
that
say your last name. I apologize.
Liz Davis.
Thank you. You're good. Go ahead.
291 Monroe. I heard about this Board of Ed reconfiguration, and I thought, like most of the people that I know, that the Chief Walker's report had just squashed it. So I did what I was supposed to do. I went to 2 Board of Ed meetings, and they literally, you talk and they just ring the bell and say 2 minutes and nobody answers any questions. So then I went to the traffic and safety, and I was told that if you guys have no jurisdiction, that you risk jail time, which is a little disturbing. Heard that from Dario. And now I'm back to the council meeting. Is it against the rules? Can you stay out of the slammer for bringing the superintendent in front of the town council with you moderating a question and answer? No one knows. No one knows what the cost analysis is.
Liz, we do know. We don't have any authority to bring the superintendent. It's an independent, co-equal municipal body. They make their own tax rate. We're obligated to collect taxes for them, but we have no authority over them at all by statute. So they do what they do. They create a tax rate that we are obligated to collect, and then we are obligated to pass it over upon demand. And that's pretty much where it ends. So we don't have any authority over them at all.
So you can't ask her, can you ask her questions? Can we put questions out to her? Because I mean, 5 pedestrians.
If members
have
of
been
this
hit.
council want to reach out to the superintendent of the board in support or in opposition, they're free to do so. But but as a body, I don't believe we should be taking a political stance on this matter because it's not before us. But as individuals, if we're in support or in opposition, we should do that. Or if as individual council people would like to, that would be fine too, in support or in opposition. But as a body, we don't have jurisdiction. And, you know, there has been court cases where councils have got involved in Board of Education and that has not gone well. So we're not going to take, we're not going to overstep our authority because we don't have authority. And we know that.
But when it comes
about
to
30 more seconds.
safety,
Go ahead.
Safety, you guys can't get involved at all. You can't bring questions.
We have an obligation to make safe the streets of the town. If the Board of
But if
Education.
they're not safe, they're not
Well,
safe, Mayor. Five
so-
pedestrians have been hit by
Yeah,
cars this year.
I can't argue that. I mean, all all I know is I've spoken to our labor attorney, who was also a Board of Education attorney, and these type of reconfigurations happen, according to him, all the time across the state. If they reconfigure, it's our job to make it work.
But if
Period.
you know that 45%, there's going to be a 45% increase, how can you in clear conscience say you're going to make it work? By
Liz,
their
we
own
don't know
findings.
that that's true. I
No,
mean,
their own findings. Read the report. Said 45% increase in traffic on Bogart Road. That's in the report.
that's a prediction, and that was made by our chief, but our chief.
No, that
decided-
was made by Klein. That was made by Klein on a sunny
was by
day
Klein.
counting cars with his wife, by the way.
Mr.
This is-
Sarlo,
you guys
is
have
there
to-
any jurisdiction where we can say no because it could increase traffic by 45%?
No, Mayor, again, if it increases traffic, I don't want to say just it increases traffic. I understand the concerns.
Yeah.
But you don't have the authority just to stop it. There's nothing just to stop it. It's, again, you don't have jurisdiction.
All
You
right.
don't have jurisdiction on this matter, Mayor.
So Liz, that's your 2
At
minutes.
this-
I appreciate you speaking to this. We're gonna go to someone who hasn't spoken yet and give them their 2 minutes. Miss Lee or Mr. Lee. I think it's Miss Lee.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you please say your full name and your address?
Oh, sorry about that. 1 second, Lucia. Just trying to lower your hand. Okay.
I think your mic is active now. Try again.
My name is Jihan Lee. I live in on Bogart Road.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have just a question. I understand you don't have a jurisdiction over the reconfiguration, but then is there any government that can look over the hierarchy where we can go to the county level, go to the state level? We needed to go to the state education board. That's how we can go for.
Mr. Sarlo, is the county superintendent have jurisdiction over this? I don't want us to be giving legal advice, but.
Yeah,
in
I
general-
don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not going to certainly give, I'm not the school board attorney, so, the answer is, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give advice as to where they should go above or beyond the Board of Ed that has local jurisdiction on this, and or if there's any oversight of the Board of Ed. I'm just not in a position to direct them somewhere else as the attorney for the borough.
Ms. Lee, you have about another minute if you want to say anything else.
I'm just saying the definitely over like 400 cars on the road on the Bogart in 30-minute window. I don't think it's safe for the town to move on. So I don't know. We are keep telling on the BOE and the superintendent, go to the meeting, please listen to what a resident and the parents say, and no one is listening. So that's why we are in the council meeting to let other residents know, because many of our doesn't know this is the proceed too. So anyways, thank you for your time.
You're welcome, Ms. Lee. Miss Ken has spoken already. I know he hasn't spoken on this topic, but let's go to Kate Davies. She would be next, who has not spoken at all at this meeting.
Hi, how are you? Kate Davies, Williams Ave.
Go ahead, Kate. You have 2 minutes.
So my concern is that Chief Walker has made all these different recommendations to Mrs. Danahy. Some of them being what you discussed tonight were the additional crossing guards. I can tell you, I personally spoke to some of the people who did the traffic evaluations, and they actually discredited a lot of what Chief Walker recommended. They told me it was excessive. They did not need these additional crossing guards and didn't take into consideration a lot of the recommendations that Chief Walker actually stated. So my concern here is that the Board of Ed, but actually on top of that is Mrs. Danahy not going through with his professional opinion, and if, legally how that, is possible. And then what happens when there is an issue?
Yeah, none of that, we can, there's nothing for us to if I understand your question correctly, that's not our jurisdiction, we can, the chief can advise, but they still have the right to do it, as Mr. Sarlo has stated several times. And so I can't speak to that. Sorry.
So I mean, again, he's made all these safety recommendations. They put a burden on the town and the police department, maybe giving them something that's not manageable to, I'm trying to think of the right word here, but, to make sure that the traffic flows safely in the morning, to make sure that the cars aren't speeding through the side streets to get from one school to another. And if he doesn't feel it's manageable, that's a big concern of mine, and what we do then.
Well, it's been, as I said, I've spoken to several lawyers about this. It's our obligation to make it work. The only area that we have authority over is if they ask us to make some sort of ordinance change, and then we have a right to deny if the council chooses to deny. But I don't know who suggested to you that you should come to us. I mean, I think it's wonderful that you're sharing your concerns, and I think this is certainly a forum for you to do that. But I just, we simply are a independent, separate co-municipal body, and we have no jurisdiction. So we have no action to take unless they ask us to take action. And that's your 2 minutes. Let's go to, I believe it's former Councilwoman Mary Davis. Mary, you do have to say your name and address. Mary, we can't hear you. I think you're muted.
You could unmute, Mary.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, Mary Davis, 144 Kensington Road. I'm partially getting involved because of my business as a realtor. People come to this town. It used to be for the quick commute into the city, and most especially for the schools. And they come, we don't have to worry about going into the city anymore because they only go in 3 days. So the schools have become more important. I have sold many houses in the different school districts because that's where the people want to go. They pick their school and they want to be in that school district to buy their home. So there's going to be very many angry residents if this goes through. Personally, I think that the biggest issue is that the residents don't feel like they're being heard. And I am so sick, and I was on the other side of this, so
Yes,
but
Mary, go ahead.
of not our jurisdiction.
But Mary, I'm going to stop you there because you're a former councilwoman. I'm just going to stop you for a second. Mary, I'm going to give you a full 2 minutes. I'm just going to stop you there. You know as well as I do that there are laws that govern our actions. You know better than anybody else.
Can I finish? I
Sure,
know
go ahead,
that.
Mary.
But tonight, Mr. Sarlo, who I have tremendous respect for, did say that if the mayor and council choose, they could write a letter stating what's going on with all of the residents, with their anger and with their concerns, and they just want to be heard. And what's happening is they're not being heard. You say, go to the Board of Ed meetings, they listen and they're done, okay? I just feel that the biggest issue is our residents are not being heard. And if it's possible, and I hope you don't get Mr. Sarlo in trouble because I think he's great. I think that you should be able to write a letter and tell them about the concern. I also went to the traffic and safety meeting too, and the same thing was told to everybody. We have other things to do with our life. We're doing this because we truly feel that it's important. I'm not saying yes or no as to the change. I am saying that the residents need to be heard. Thank you.
Mary,
Absolutely.
it's great to hear from you, and it's good to see you via Zoom. The mayor and council again has the ability, if they had concerns that may impact them, they can do it. I wouldn't advocate the mayor and council taking a portion, writing a letter in support or against something, because there's one group that's against it and maybe another group for it.
Right.
Let me clarify is if there are concerns on the mayor and council and how it may impact the operations of the borough, that the Board of Ed may not know it may impact the borough, they certainly then can apprise the mayor and council of it. If it came across that the mayor and council should either support or not support the proposal, that's probably not a good idea. It would be more of, hey, these are certain things we want you to consider and look at in the overall, scheme of what you're looking to do.
I absolutely know that you should not be saying you're for or against it. I totally understand that. I just think that you need to let them know that the residents want to be heard, whether for it or against it, they need to be heard.
So
Thank you.
Mary, when we
I
close.
don't, Mayor, I'm sorry, I don't know if the board, if there is an issue in front of the mayor and council, if a resident can go to the Board of Ed and ask the Board of Ed to, have the mayor and council, hear the residents. Again, it's the separation there. I don't know if the mayor, the residents can go to the Board of Ed meetings and certainly can be heard there, and I'm sure they have. But I just don't see how the mayor and council can send something saying, please listen to our residents, or you're not listening to our residents. They're interjecting themselves in this scenario.
Would they suggest a town meeting?
Mary, you're over your 2 minutes, but you're a former council person, so I'm going to give you 2 more minutes. Mr. Solo, if you could answer that question. Mary, could you restate that question?
Now you cut me off. I don't even remember what I just said.
Yes, if they could suggest a town meeting.
A town meeting, right, with the board, not picking sides or anything else, just so that people can feel that they've been heard.
You can go in front of the Board of Ed and be heard. I don't know what a joint meeting between the Board of Ed and the mayor and council that, again, has no jurisdiction over this matter is going to do. You're being heard right now, right? All these residents are airing out their concerns to the mayor and council, and they're airing out their concerns to the Board of Ed. So it's
But when you go to, if somebody from the Board of Ed is on here, I would feel better. But when you go to the Board of Ed, they give you your 2 minutes and then they move on.
But Mary, I want to point out, we're not doing that. We're talking to you. We're listening to you. We're responding to you. You are being heard.
I get that. I get that. And I'm appreciative of that. That's why I'm on here.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I believe Carmen would be up next.
Hi,
Say your full name and address.
thank you. Carmen Philbin on Dorchester Road. I have 3 questions.
Okay, your 2 minutes begin. Go ahead.
Okay, and I'm not sure if this is a question for this forum or not. When was the last time a full traffic study was done here in River Edge? I've been a resident for 10 years, so I don't know, when that would have been done.
We do traffic. Let me answer them one by one. It's easier though.
Okay.
We do traffic studies as needed because there is a cost connected to them. So we don't do a traffic study of the whole town every year. If an issue comes up, a traffic study is requested, and if it's approved by the council, it's done. Though the chief, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Sarla has the authority to do a traffic study of his own volition.
In-house, internally, if he has the manpower and feels the need to do it, yeah, sure. I usually you're doing you're looking at a specific issue and you're doing the impact, a development, something like this, but just to do a town-wide traffic study, I think that would be a monumental task. And I don't know, I really don't know to see the need of it. But maybe I'm speaking out of turn as the attorney. So the answer is, yeah, he certainly can. The chief, the traffic is in the chief, so if he wants to do a traffic analysis of the entire town, he could do that if he chooses.
Carmen, what's your next question?
Well, I guess not the whole town, but just in regards to reconfiguration, is that something that the mayor?
Chief has already done what he thought was a report, and he has released that. What's your next question?
And my next question is, from what I'm understanding, I guess the mayor and council have jurisdiction once it becomes a let's say, for example, the Board of Ed wants to make Bogert a one-way between,
they'd have to come to us, make that request. We would then review it. We probably send the traffic and safety, we'd get the chief's input. And then the council, based on all those inputs, would make a decision, yes or no. And that would take 2-3 months. It could go quicker if there was an emergency, but generally it goes traffic safety. They meet once every other month. Traffic and safety would then come back to us. Then there would be, the council would consider it. Then it would have to go to an ordinance if the council thought that this is something we should do, to have a first hearing and a second hearing. So that takes 2 meetings. And so that would be the process.
Thank you. That was my question on the timeline.
I'm going to stay with Carmen, okay?
I just wanted to answer one more thing. Traffic and safety could require more studies. So it wouldn't necessarily go from traffic and safety right to the council. If they have questions that need answered, or if they need a particular study, they would ask that, and then it would have to go through that process. So I just want to say the timing could be longer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The timing could be longer. I'm trying to give her a general answer. Carmen, next question.
And that was it that you answered. I was wondering what the timeline was and what's the process to go from the board putting in a request to how many meetings it cycles through and et cetera. So thank you for that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Carmen. We have Jay Noah, I believe.
1 second.
Yes, I just have a question about.
You have to say your full name and address.
I think she muted herself.
Okay. Jay, you got to unmute yourself, say your full name and address, and then you have 2
Sorry.
minutes.
Am I?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I just have a question.
No. You got to say your full name and address. That's required.
Jennifer Berninger, 205 Madison Avenue.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so I have some questions about, when I look at the traffic report that they provided, there was a lot of pedestrian included accidents. There was 5 in 1 year alone. Are we going to have more? I mean, the police department is not for this, and it's going to affect every side street because people are going to be, I see them in the morning trying to get through all the traffic and running through all the streets. How is this a safety thing? They want to make it safe for the schools. Obviously, that's 100%. That's all what we want.
Yeah.
But other streets are going to be affected and people are going to be traveling through. Everybody in the apartments, do they have cars? Did they move there because they could walk to school and now they have to get to the other side of town? Like there's just so many unanswered questions, and we feel that we can't get any answers. I went to the Board of Ed meeting. I felt like I was, just tossed aside. I just feel like we're all these taxpayers wondering how it's going to affect us. And once it's done, we can't go back. So can't we just have some questions and answers answered by the superintendent and everybody so that we can have it, so we don't have to go back and say, oh, we should have done this, we should have done that. I mean, I just feel like they're trying to push something through that we're not ready for.
I hear you, but that's something you have to bring to them. This body,
We do, and you know what? They
But
don't
I'm just
listen to
saying,
they
this
treat
body,
you-
we're listening to you, and we're responding within the boundaries of the law that we're permitted to
Okay,
respond.
do you have any boundaries or response that we can go? Because I'm gonna go to the Board of Ed meeting on Wednesday, and we don't get really any answers, and we get a blank stare, so.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to give you legal advice there. I'm sorry.
Well,
can tell you
I
what
feel
you're-
like we're in a circle jerk, the whole town. The people that have come to me and they're concerned, nobody has any answers, and we're all in a circle jerk. And it's really unfair. It's unfair to the taxpayers to have to fight so hard just to get answers. That's my concern.
Yeah, your 2 minutes are up, but I want to say that the governing authority in this regard is the Board of Education. But we're going to go to somebody else and give them 2 minutes.
Irina,
good. Irina, if you could say your full name and address.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Irina Zakharova, 735 Summit Avenue.
You have 2 minutes, go ahead.
Perfect. I'm sorry, I've joined late. Question, are you aware of the change.org petition going on? 700 people signed it. It's against the reconfiguration.
I am not. I don't know if other members of the council are, but but do you have a follow-up question?
Basically, do you consider those petitions legitimate?
I don't think it's this body's, I don't think this body should be commenting on what they consider to be legitimate or illegitimate. Now, members of the council may have strong feelings for or against it, and they are certainly free to exercise that when we're not in session. But while we're in session, we wouldn't be taking a position, and through legal advice and through common sense, we don't have jurisdiction, and we've been advised that this is not something that we would do as a body. But as individuals, we may have strong feelings for or against, and but not at this time, Irina.
Well, I just feel that as a mayor, you should know that there are 700 people who has signed the petition and strongly against the reconfiguration, and we want to be heard, basically.
I get it, and we're hearing you, and we're listening to you, and we're giving you the time, but the people that have to make the decision, the people who invested with the authority to make the decision, are the Board of Education, not us.
Is it possible to have like a vote of non-confidence?
No, we don't take those sort of actions. That would be the same thing as taking a position, unless you're asking me if you can take a vote of no confidence against the BOE. And if that's what you're asking me, then we can't comment on that because we can't offer you legal advice.
Who can?
I'm not allowed to direct you either. I'm sorry.
Okay, is there like an attorney who works for town who can, I don't know, offer advice to?
You are perfectly free as a citizen of the state of New Jersey to hire an attorney and seek advice from them.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, we'll go to Ken now. Hey, Ken, sorry to make you wait, but you got to say your name and address again, please.
That's okay. Ken Schuffenhauer, Millbrook Road. Just a couple quick comments. Piggybacking a little bit on what Mary Davis was saying. So I understand the town council, for lack of a better term, has to be Switzerland, neutral on a position, can't get involved, but not all voices within the town are created equal. Hearing what people have heard, I don't know as far as whether a letter, a note to the Board of Education from Thomas Papaleo, Dario Canigo, Michelle Kaufman, Barry Benson, not Mayor Papaleo, and not in official capacity, probably carries a little bit more weight than everybody here combined who's voiced a concern put together on so just that would be one thing that, because I think you've heard enough concerns, even if you're for or against, there are some legitimate concerns. So that would be one thing.
Go ahead.
And then the other thing is, sure, and I know not on the most recent discussion with the Roosevelt Fields and everything, but I believe on the first go round, I believe the council, and it was in a council capacity, Dario represented, I believe, the council or the town in discussions as far as trying to move the needle when there was the discussion of field renovations.
Yeah.
Is there not any type of dialogue that can happen along those channels, back channels?
People are free on the council to speak their minds as individuals of the town. Councilman Kanigo, hold on a second. The Roosevelt was something different. We were seeking to make an improvement on their property. And so that's different because we did have standing, okay? And there were individuals who came to us and said, we would like to see an improvement. And we said, we would be glad to do the improvement, but we need for them to grant us jurisdiction. So it's something where we had standing, and it's very different from this case because we don't have standing. Councilman Kanigo.
Just same thing you just said. There were no back channels back then. That's not what happened. So we went through the process that we needed to go through in order to try to do something on fields that didn't belong to us. That's where we reached out to them.
Ken, you got 15 more seconds if you need it.
Sure. Just talk about the traffic rerouting. Living on Millbrook, it's not really a direct route to the high school or to the middle school, but it has become because people find a way to circumvent the traffic lights, the crossing guards. So just a concern with whatever new traffic pattern might come into place.
All right, Ken. Thank you for speaking to us.
Sure. No, thank you.
All right, Sebastian, we don't normally give people another 2 minutes, but I think you've been very patient with us, and it doesn't look like anybody else is looking to speak. So you're going to be our last speaker. You have 2 minutes. You do have to say your name and address again.
Thank you, Mayor. Sebastian Moscarola, 781 Fifth Ave. And listen, you've heard everybody tonight, and we're running out of answers. We don't know what to do. We're at this committee because we are looking for you guys to help us, if not solve the problem, but deliver the message to the Board of Education and the superintendent, because we have been unable to break them. And all of you on this Zoom tonight, and I know there's some people missing, are elected officials of this council. We rely on you to represent this town. We need you. And this is a serious concern. This is the most serious concern in this town happening right now, if you think about it. I know it's school operations, but it's not just school operations. It's school plus traffic, plus health, plus safety, plus pedestrians, plus everything else that goes along with it. So we really need your help. And I just implore you to please, if it's a letter, if it's something, please just let Ms. Danahy and the Board of Education know that you have heard from the residents. This is what they're saying. You don't have to side with us one way or not, but this is what we're hearing. Please listen to them. That's all I'm asking.
I understand you. I hear you. I really do. We can't take a public stance. Members of council and myself are free to act outside of the council, but we hear you. All right.
You hear us? You hear me, or are you going to do something about it? I'm sorry to be blunt, Mr.
I'm
Mayor.
not going to say during a public meeting, as you heard, Mr. Sarlo made it very clear that we shouldn't, but I think you've been very clear. In addition to that, I would find it hard to believe that the Board of Education is not watching or will watch when we post it. But this is a concern, but I'm upon legal advice. We're not going to take a stand or take an action during a public meeting. Mr. Kanigo.
I will call the superintendent tomorrow, and I will.
Stop, Councilman.
No, I will call the superintendent tomorrow, and I will tell her that everybody stopped by, everybody who spoke, and I'll do my best to summarize all the concerns to the superintendent. Okay, I think I can say that, and I'm willing to do that so that everybody here knows that this council heard you and that we are letting the Board of Education know our concerns. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If Mr. Sarlo doesn't want me to do that, Mr. Sarlo stop me, but otherwise I have no problem doing that tomorrow.
That's all I ask. I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Councilman. I don't have an issue with that.
All right. since Councilman Kenigo has decided that, I will be having a conversation with the superintendent in the next.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not calling you out on it. I
No,
am the
but-
member that this council appointed to the Traffic and Safety Committee for the Board of Education. Okay, so as that member, as the liaison that this council appointed, I think it's only right for me to do so. And I think you've taken every appropriate stance, and you have absolutely been correct in everything you have said tonight. So this is not me showcasing, but these
No, I
people
didn't
are
think you are,
frustrated. They think that they're not being heard. I believe that they are being heard. Okay, and I believe
At least by
that
us, absolutely.
and honestly, I think that they're being heard by the Board of Education. Whether the Board of Education agrees with them or not, my personal opinion from what I have observed only is that just as you people come to us and not everybody comments, for example, Mr. Benson hasn't been speaking, that doesn't mean that he hasn't heard you. He's heard you and he's listened to you. Okay, and I'm sure he's got opinions on it, just like I have. I'm sure you all think that you know what my opinions are. I assure you, you do not. However, what I can say is that since the council appointed me as the Traffic and Safety Committee liaison to the Board of Education for this, I can go to the board, to the superintendent tomorrow. I can call her up, and if she takes my call, which I have no reason to think that she won't, I will tell her. So many people showed up, and these are their concerns, and they feel that they're not being heard. And I'll even say that I expect most of them will show up to your meeting in a day, because I'll be calling her tomorrow. Fair enough?
We have one more raised hand from Ellen.
Go ahead, Ellen. Full name and address.
Ellen McCord, 46 Eastbrook again. Sorry. Thank you for taking, I'll be real quick. I just get it through my head, okay? We did a study on the traffic. 45% increase on traffic through Bogart Road. 5 people were hit by cars in the first half of this year, is what I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a fatality last year, okay? And this is not a safety issue for the council? That's a question.
Well, it's a leading question. And
No, it's a question. Yes and no.
I appreciate what you're saying. We have no jurisdiction until we have jurisdiction. We currently have no jurisdiction. Is it a concern for us individuals? Absolutely, absolutely. But you're asking, I call it a leading question because it's not a recognizing distinction, right? Right now, we represent public officials who have been elected, who are in council in a public session. So we have no jurisdiction. And
over safety in the town.
But again, it's a leading question. It makes it sound like we're not concerned about the safety. We are concerned about safety, but we have jurisdictional limits. And you know that. You've heard that.
No, I don't know that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm gonna give you 15 more seconds.
That's okay. No, I don't need the time. It's just very odd to me that you have a report that says that it would be unsafe. The police chief doesn't recommend it. And yet it's a safety concern. Forget about the school, whether we agree if that's a good idea.
Ellen, that's your 2 minutes and we're going to close.
Okay.
Thank
Fine.
you, Ellen.
Thank you.
All right. Could I have a motion to close to the public in a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed or any abstentions? Hearing none, it is unanimous. Are there any council comments before we move to agenda item 17, closed session?
Just one quick thing, the raising of the flag, the pride flag is going to be June 19th at 6 o'clock at Memorial Park.
Okay, great. Any others? All right, could I have a motion from the council president and second from Councilman Kenigo after I read into the record, closed session resolution 23-191, resolution go into closed session, exclude the public personnel, NJSA 10:40-12B8, 2 topics, finance department and borough clerk vacancy, and police chief contract.
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now, since we will not be coming back into open session to take any action, Mr. Sarlo, will we be adjourning the meeting?
Yes, Mayor, you can adjourn the meeting now.
All right. So could I have a motion and second to adjourn the meeting and to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So that ends the public portion of the meeting. We will not be returning to make any decisions. We are simply going into closed session for discussion. Thank you. I'd like to thank the public who came, and I'd like to thank our borough attorney, Mr. Sarlo, for doing a great job of explaining. I really appreciate that. All right. Good night, everyone.